Right, module 2. So module 1 pretty much just covered who I am and how the hive was derived. So module 2, ethics of keeping bees. So there's a whole many layers and levels of what people consider to be ethical with regards to keeping bees, from animal husbandry and responsibility, but at the end of the day, honeybees are not like cattle or sheep. If you have a field and you open the gate, sheep and cattle are not going to just walk into it. However, bees are roaming free all over the place, and if you manipulate the genetics of your bees in a hive that you have, that is irresponsible on so many different levels, because we have no idea as humans what bees actually need. So animal husbandry, if you are breeding bees and your drones are going out into the wider world, you are affecting wild bees, and that is immoral to a certain extent. So modern beekeeping is not that. We don't advocate any use of chemicals. We do not advocate using any sort of feed, either feed as sugar water to help them over winter or as nectar in the beginning of spring to get them started and working earlier than is normal. We don't advocate any sort of breeding programs. We'll just let the bees do what they do naturally, mate naturally, and do what's best for them in the environment that they're in. They evolve on average 3 times a year, whereas we only evolve every 20 or 30 years. So they learn really quickly, they evolve really quick. So let's have a look what I've written down here. So we only advocate using local bees. We do not advocate using imported bees from Europe or from anywhere besides somewhere that's within a 2-mile radius of where you are. Anything further than that, even getting bees from Cornwall and taking them up to Scotland, not cool. Use local bees. We promote swarming, whereas beekeepers castrate hives by killing all the drones and stop swarming by killing off queens. We advocate swarming because that's how bees make more bees, is by swarming. Also, to make stronger genetics, they need to swarm so that the new queen in the hive gets the local drones and their knowledge and becomes stronger. We do not use any chemicals at all. Bees are quite capable of defending themselves. We do not move hives around. Trees don't grow legs and walk around, so we do not advocate moving hives. If you have to, for whatever reason, there's a health and safety issue or whatever, and you have to move a hive, you can move a hive, but we do not advocate it as a system of using them to pollinate. Come on, buddy. It's a cool evening and there's the odd bee flying around, and I'm in the flight path, so they're a little bit confused. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Right, so that guy's in. The main brood area, we do not change the internal volume, so that space there, we never change that volume. We do not add extra space because they're overcrowded. That's a beekeeper's nonsense. We do not add space on top of a hive to stress them to be able to get honey. That's effectively what you're doing when you're having framed hives. You put an empty space on top of the brood chamber, which then shocks them. That shock is then what gets them to then stimulated to then produce lots of honey and wax. but they're always in a state of shock, and that's not good for them, because once they're stressed they become susceptible to pests and diseases and things. They only make lots of wax when they initially move into a hive. Once they're in, they produce very little wax. If you suddenly put an empty brood box on top of a hive, they're then producing lots of wax that instinctively creates stress, because it's not a natural thing. So creating lots of wax or giving them lots of space creates stress, which then makes them susceptible. We do not advocate an apiary system. We suggest that hives must be at least 100 to 150 meters apart, or have a geographic separation, like a house or a mountain or something like it. We do not inspect hives unless something's gone drastically wrong, or if you get forced to by your local bee inspector. But we do not inspect, because if they're chugging along doing their own thing, it's pointless to inspect, because they just need to get on with their own thing. We do not advocate killing queens or drones or over inspecting. We'll constantly investigate better ways of doing things, and this is basically bees for bees' sake, not money or honey. Right, let's move on to the next chapter.